Hey friends, welcome back. Fixing My Faith. My name is Vern. Well, today we're looking at big developments out of New York, and the pressure is mounting. Well, a major lawsuit filed in Kings County is now putting Jehovah's Witness governing body directly in the spotlight. And for possibly the first time, they could be subpoenaed to give sworn depositions in connection with child sexual abuse allegations. I just released a video covering the legal side of the story here not too long ago, a few days ago, and you can check that out for a full breakdown. But today, I want to approach this from another angle. I'm about to read an article that is put together by Miss Usato. It's on Avoid JW. And Miss Usato, she's a powerful voice in the XJW community. And she explores not just what's happening in the court, but what it means for survivors, for accountability, and for Watchtower leadership. She graciously asked me to bring her words to you directly, and I'm honored to do so, so let's dive in. We'll see in a bit. Okay, so here we are. Avoid JW. I'll pin this in the descriptions, and this is where it is posted. So the question is, will the governing body testify? Will they testify? That's a good question. So will the governing body testify? Everyone says, I don't know. Why don't everyone in the comment put a yes or a no? If you've never commented, you don't like commenting, put a yes or a no just to answer this question. What do you guys think? Will the governing body testify? So far, the only governing body member that we've ever seen get kind of loopholed into it was Jackson in the Ark, the Australian Ark. So that's the only one that I know of, other than Russell going to court, testifying. He falsely testified, Russell. He said he knew the Greek language. They put him in court. He didn't know it. He was using a diaglot. He would compare English words to Greek words. And anyways, that's what Jehovah's Witnesses are taught to do today. But he lost that case. But anyways, Rutherford liked court. He was like a lawyer, always in court. Now, let's talk about this article. We're going to get right into it. We're going to read through it for Miss Usato. She's the one that published this. This is brand new, folks. May 4th, 2025, just put out. So these are some of the members of the governing body right here in this picture. What a nice place they have to look out their backyard, in their head offices. Well, the New York court may soon decide whether the Jehovah's Witnesses governing body can be compelled to testify in a high-stakes sexual abuse lawsuit, raising the stakes for the religion's top leadership amid mounting legal pressure and claims of institutional concealment. Now, the governing body and 75 unnamed individuals, that's what the title is. So there's more than just the governing body here. In a major legal filing in Kings County, New York, the Jehovah's Witness organization is once again under fire for its failure to protect children from sexual predators within its ranks. The lawsuit filed in February 2025 outlines a shocking account of childhood sexual abuse perpetrated by a trusted member of the faith community and the organizational cover-up that allegedly enabled it. The complaint, brought by a woman identified as the plaintiff, she outlines 6 causes of action, including negligent hiring, failure to warn, and intentional infliction of emotional distress against multiple corporate entities associated with the Jehovah's Witnesses. The Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of New York, the Christian Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses, that's CCJW, and the governing body, and up to 75 unnamed individuals referred to as the Does 1 to 75. And if you think this is fake news, please click on the above links to see the court documents the above links. So we have some above links that we'll find here in the article. Okay, so the abuse at Bethel. You remember the old Bethel? It's quite a picture. Looks almost plastic, like a model. I was looking at it. But that's the old Watchtower. That's when this all took place, when they were in the old Watchtower building. Maybe they thought by selling it all and moving it would all go away, but it didn't. So the lawsuit asserts that the governing body of Jehovah's Witness, headquartered in Brooklyn at the time, was responsible for the policies, the oversight that enabled the abuse. And the criminal case is regarding abuse that occurred from 1991 to 1994 at the Kings Highway Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses. Located at the central to the case is an elder referred to as Green, Ronald Mark Harding, a ministerial servant at the congregation, who was reportedly granted unsupervised access to the plaintiff, then a minor at the Jehovah's Witness World Headquarters, known as Bethel, Brooklyn Heights. And according to the complaint, Green sexually abused the plaintiff on multiple occasions on Bethel property, often during times when she was left alone with him under the knowledge and the authority of senior congregation figures. And the plaintiff alleged that the Watchtower and CCJW failed to conduct appropriate background checks or adequately monitor Green, despite actual and or constructive notice that he posed a danger to children. And the third cause of action is negligent hiring and retention, accuses the organization of placing a known or knowable predator in a position of trust and authority, a pattern seen in other high-profile cases involving the religious group. And in the fourth case of action, the plaintiff accuses the defendant of a broader institutional failure, the negligent failure to train, educate, or to warn members, especially children and their families, about the signs of grooming and sexual abuse. And the complaint points out that no meaningful abuse prevention training was offered, and that the policies at safeguarding children were either non-existent or deliberately ineffective. Now, in the fifth and sixth causes of action, they focus on the emotional and physical toll the abuse has taken on the plaintiff, and she alleges severe emotional distress, anxiety, humiliation, and lasting psychological trauma resulting from both the abuse itself and the way the organization handled it. And she's seeking compensation and punitive damages exceeding lower courts' jurisdictional limits. So that has to go to a higher court. And she's using a good law firm, this Zulkin. We've covered them on some other articles. Zulkin Law Firm. The plaintiff is represented by Zulkin Law Firm, a prominent legal team that handles abuse cases against religious organizations. They have been actively investigating Jehovah's Witnesses since at least 2012, and their track record includes several high-profile settlements and trials involving the Jehovah's Witnesses, raising hopes that this case may push the organization towards systemic reform or at least public accountability. And over the years, the firm has represented numerous survivors in lawsuits against the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society and related entities, addressing allegations of abuse and institutional cover-ups. So the complaint accuses the Watchtower and CCJW of ratifying the abuse by failing to act, even after they were allegedly made aware of his conduct and even pressuring the victim into silence. Now, these allegations, if proven, suggest not only gross negligence, but potential criminal culpability in shielding a known abuser. Now, this case is one of the many filed in recent years against Jehovah's Witness entities worldwide, most by Zulkin Law Firm. Advocates say that the organization's internal judicial process, which prioritizes confidentiality and disfellowshipping over justice and accountability, continues to put children at risk, and they have listened. So what needs to happen for the governing body to testify? Well, this is a summons. This is what a summons look like. We covered that in my last video. We actually took a look at the summons, and it's sent out to the governing body. So there's a real possibility that members of the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses could be compelled to testify, but it depends on several legal and procedural factors. Number one, naming the governing body as defendants directly holds them personally and institutionally accountable for the policies and failures cited in the lawsuit. Number two, relevance of their knowledge or actions. If the plaintiff's legal team can demonstrate that the governing body is or was directly involved in decisions that harmed the plaintiff, then the court could rule that their testimony is material and necessary. Also, if they knew about the risk of abuse and created or enforced the policies that allegedly led to the abuse, like the two-witness rule or secrecy policies, or were directly involved in decisions that harmed the plaintiff. And number three, discoveries and depositions. Now, before the trial, both sides can request documents and question witnesses under oath. If the plaintiff's attorneys request depositions of the governing body members and the defendants object, it would likely lead to a legal fight over whether those individuals must comply. Courts have sometimes protected high-level executives or leaders under apex doctrine, claiming they're too high-ranking and less uniquely knowledgeable, but that protection is not automatic. And number four, suppose the case goes to trial. If it does, instead of settling, and if the governing body's actions or knowledge are central to the plaintiff's claims, their testimony could be requested in person or via deposition recordings, and the court could issue subpoenas if necessary. And number five, Judge Cross signing off on that motion, if he orders testimony from a governing body member, it would set a huge precedent, and the Watchtower would likely fight it, possibly even filing appeals. So if Zulkin Law Firm LLP can show that the governing body had specific knowledge or responsibility for the alleged failures of abuse, they absolutely can try to compel testimony. And whether they succeed depends on how the court views the necessity and relevance of that testimony. And for more documents on this case, go to King's Court Supreme Court. This article will be updated when we learn more about this case. So thank you to Operation Alarming 700 on subreddit XJW for posting all about this case. So there you have it, folks. That's the latest update on the governing body. Will they testify? It kind of goes through some of their options. You know, they could be subpoenaed to testify. If that judge feels that they have relatable knowledge, they will have to testify. So I will pin my video at the end, and if you want to watch it, I do get into some of the details of why and the case and why the Watchtower was protecting the perpetrator. So they were actually hiding the perpetrator. It's going to be interesting to see if this all comes out when it does come out in court. So thanks again to Miss Usato for putting this together for us, and we will look forward to your next article. Well, if you found this important, share it, post it in groups, send it to the journalist, tag legal advocacy networks. We know how hard it is to get accountability, especially when religion hides behind the law. And if you're a survivor or someone with relevant information, please know your voice matters. You're not alone. So thanks again to Miss Usato for her insight and her heart. And thanks to all of you for staying informed, staying brave, and speaking out. And until next time, keep living your life with love. We'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.